administration refuting a leaked Pentagon report. Hell yeah, it did. Did you catch Pete in Raising Cane this morning? You missed something, if you missed it. That claimed those reports that U.S. strikes had little impact on Iran's nuclear program. President Trump calling it an insult to the B-2 pilots who risked their lives to take out the Iranian threat. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defending that operation, Midnight Hammer, earlier this morning.
The highly successful strikes in Iran. Let me read the bottom line here. President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history. And it was a resounding success, resulting in a ceasefire agreement and the end of the 12-day war.
Larry Kudlow, folks missed something if they didn't hear not just Secretary Hegseth, but Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Kane, go into the detail of the planning that went on year after year after year among the group of pilots, the planning that went into it. And I just, before I toss the ball to you, I just want to remind people that the New York Times and its star reporter, Walter Duranty, basically helped Stalin hide the murder of at least 5 million Ukrainians of starvation. They were part of help covering up a genocide, and they won a Pulitzer Prize for it. So that's the New York Times history.
Well, this woman, Bertrand from CNN, is really the evildoer in this whole story. She, by the way, has a long history. She's a Trump hater. She has a long history of phony stories, including Russiagate stories. Including the 51 intelligence. Remember that letter?
Sure, remember that.
That Hunter's laptop was a Russian hoax or Russian whatever. So she is carrying the ball on this, as she has for a lot of stories. The reality is Mr. Trump's first instinct was right. The United States and Israel obliterated Iran and rendered all of the major nuclear facilities, including Fordow, inoperable for many years. We had a good guest on Dabrowski last night, but he uses the intelligence from Israel, which is terrific, okay? And it's close up, and they have people on the ground, human intelligence, HUMINT as it's called. And they're radioing back just how inoperable all these facilities are. Natanz was completely destroyed. Efsahan was pretty much destroyed. Efsahan is where a lot of this uranium enrichment were, where the centrifuges were. And then the other thing that Mr. Trump said, remember, Donald Trump knows a lot about buildings and excavation and stuff. He used to do that for a living. The other thing that's interesting is there is a lot of reserves of enriched uranium, but they're way under the ground. And Mr. Trump said 300 feet under the ground in Fordow, but everything has collapsed on top of them, so you can't get to it. Now, at some point, you'll get to it, okay? It's going to take a long time, and at that point, one would hope that the International Atomic Energy Commission will be there to monitor all this, so Iran doesn't, go back. If Iran goes back to its old ways, Israel just bombed the hell out of them again. But that's where that was, because the story was that the trucks were lining up and they were going to shift it out of the country. It's just not true. There were trucks there, probably to try to block the entrance to Fordow, okay? Or, alternatively, perhaps they were trying to get the uranium, load the uranium up and go, but they didn't have time because it happened so fast. And the Iranians obviously misunderstood Trump, underestimated Trump, and it all happened very, very fast with the fabulous B-2 bombers in our Air Force and our military. So I think that this Defense Intelligence Agency, which is, by the way, has a long history of lousy intelligence. They call it DIA, do it again. And I think what John Ratcliffe of the CIA said yesterday, that basically this would be inoperable for many years. Ratcliffe is the guy to watch at CIA. You may know him. I know him very, very well. He is a terrific, tough guy. He was the DNI in the first term, former congressman, former prosecutor, et cetera. Anyway, I mean, I think this story is just over and dead. But if they catch the guy who leaked it from DIA, they should throw him in jail.
Yeah.
They should throw him in jail.
It appears to be, reading the original reporting from the hacks in the regime media, the way it reads, it seems to be multiple people who were briefed on it. And whether they're trying to hide people or cover their tracks. And there is a briefing of Congress this afternoon.
Right.
But one thing in the original reporting that I noticed did not show up, that the New York Times added to later stories, was that the report assessed that overall the nuclear program had been delayed by months. But the report's conclusion said there was, quote, low confidence in that finding. That was left out.
That came later.
Yeah.
Right,
That
because
came later. That was the
again, they
second call.
pick and choose.
That was the second call. In other words, after the leak, this is a, deep state,
Yes.
I hate Trump leak. Now, after that leak came out on CNN, DIA came back and said it's a low confidence report. Kind of cover their, cover their keister, as Ronald Reagan used to say. So yeah, they're caught with their hand in the cookie jar. There's no question about that. But the bottom line is, Iran is demolished for years, and now the next step is they're going to have some kind of meeting with Steve Witkoff, and they're going to, I don't know where they're going, Oman someplace, to talk to the Iranians. What kind of a deal, if any, is hammered out with Iran? Now, the president has said he doesn't really care if there's a deal. All right, that's an interesting statement. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what the elaboration is on that.
But then he said, we're talking to them, and it's going to be one-on-one. It's not going to be with mediators.
Right.
So.
I mean, we know the Iranian games that they play, and you're exactly right, no mediators. If Iran has got to acknowledge the Jewish state. They must acknowledge the Jewish state and its legitimacy.
They won't do that.
And I don't think they'll do that.
They won't do
I think Jackie is right. But I don't know what the strategy is here. I have Steve Witkoff coming on our show tomorrow. Perhaps he'll
Well, the president said the deal is they can never have a nuclear weapon.
Yes, indeed.
I don't think that deal is going to change. So I think partly what he's saying is you could write something down or not write something down. The deal is that. And if that ever changes, then whatever ceasefire we've just created is off.
And he's also
That's
saying
it.
we've taken care of it for the time being.
And we've taken care of it for several years.
I confess I really liked the unconditional surrender.
Yeah.
I really liked that. Mr. Trump said that several times. He's not said it since the bombings ended, but he said it before the bombing. I'm a great fan of Ulysses S. Grant, one of the greatest general in the Civil War. U.S. Grant was unconditional surrender Grant. He talked Lincoln into making it unconditional surrender, and Robert E. Lee had to eat that. So I'm just saying, I'd like to see you're right. There's a red line. Okay, no question about it. But I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see them acknowledge Israel's existence. Stop this war altogether. This endless war. Stop it.
Quick question. Assuming
I don't know
we
that
set
that'll
them
happen.
back a couple years, what are we hoping changes in a couple years? Is it
Could be longer than that. It could be 5 years.
Could be 10 years.
Is
Right.
it the Iranian
agree.
people step up? Is it a new regime so that they don't have time to go back and start rebuilding? What would be that best outcome in the couple, dozen, whatever it is, years that we have now that we've set them back?
You know, the best thing that could possibly happen, Taylor, is regime change. And some form of free Iran, free elections, and democracy. Some form.
Yeah.
I'm not stipulating it. That has to come internally. Because the Ayatollahs, if Khamenei is still in power, I don't know who's he got left. Everybody else has been killed, but somebody's left there. He will continue to do what he's doing. If the IRG, if the Revolutionary Guard is still in power, if the paramilitary is still in power and the secret police, then they're going to continue to hate Israel, and they're going to continue to try mischievously to rebuild bombs, missiles, nuclear, whatever. So that's the best outcome. I mean,
But I'm sorry to say, I feel like the people missed their moment. There was a brief moment there that they could have seized on and they didn't. And so now I don't see what changes on the ground for them. They're scared if they take to the streets, they're going to get shot and killed. That hasn't changed.
somebody reported 700 people were killed. So you have a good point. But other people have suggested that it will take time after this initial. I mean, the Iranian economy has collapsed. Inflation is skyrocketing, right? The currency is worthless. The regime, the country has been ravaged by war. They were badly defeated in this whole war. So you let time pass. I know the immediate moment, but I'm just thinking.
I hear you. They're weak. They're weaker than they were.
You know, you've got, again, this Persian diaspora, the Shah's son. You know, I interviewed him. Other people on the network have interviewed him.
Yeah.
They are moving and organizing in their own fashion. And there are a lot of contacts. So I haven't given up on
Maybe the president doesn't want to sign a deal with these guys because he's not that interested in these guys being these guys that long, and deals just make them seem like they're going to be forever. Who knows?
Take?
I'll tell you what, though. The United States has one hell of an Air Force. And Israel has one hell of an Air Force. I mean, really, you can talk about shock and awe. It's unbelievable.
I just imagine, and I don't know the president, but I just imagined the president sitting around and questioning his advisors and saying, we have these B-2s and these MOPs. What are we doing? What are we doing with them if we're not using them? Why did we develop them? Why have we done all these drills all these years if we weren't going to use these beautiful, beautiful, expensive tools?
I'll tell you what, I would say this, and no more about it. I spoke to the president yesterday. We had a good conversation. I had an agenda, which I'm not going to divulge, I never do. But I would just tell you, he was on the plane coming home from Brussels. He was in good spirits, and he sounded great. And I know him very well. I know when he doesn't sound so great, and he just sounded on top of the world. I mean, heck, he even let me talk for a little bit about the points that I was about to raise, which is always a struggle. But he just sounded so good, and it made me feel like $1 million to hear him like that.
Okay.
And look, he is the dominant political figure in the world today. And that is, he's going to create tremendous peace in the Middle East. The Abraham Accords, I just wrote an article about the Abraham Accords are going to be expanded. All the Gulf coasts, they're all going to come in now. And they're all going to have economic growth and trade and investments. The new, they call it the new Emirates model. And this spills over into more investment and trade in the United States. One big, beautiful bill is going to be passed, going to be signed by July 4th. And trade deals are going to be announced. New trade deals are going to be announced right after they sign one big, beautiful bill. They've got 3 or 4 frameworks for great trade deals to show that his whole approach here was to make America more competitive and make America grow fast. I mean, he's just on top of the world right now. He is on top of the world.
And the president's destruction of Iran's nuclear program was perfect in word and deed, Mr. President.